Good evening and welcome to Big Budget Business, where we highlight the lives of prolific young individuals making strides in their respective fields. Now, starting and sustaining a business without any type of funding can be a huge challenge. So today, we'll be speaking to somebody who has successfully overcome this business challenge. Mr. Fhoster R Manyaapelo is the founder of TRM Group Safety. Mr. Manyaapelo, it's a pleasure having you here, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome. So maybe let's start with your background. Yes. Who is Fhoster and what is his backstory?
All right. Fhoster R Manyaapelo. Well, I would say that I grew up in Gabs for the most part. I would say that our family, I'm a mama's boy. I was raised by my mother and my dad.
Oh, that's great.
Our background, I would say, what it was full of emotion, I think, financial turmoil.
Okay.
A lot of struggles.
Okay.
So, we'd find ourselves, but I feel it's a blessing in disguise because I think that's what led me to take the path that I've taken today. Okay. Trying to pursue entrepreneurship and, financial freedom. So yes, I'd say that background we're having financial struggles, okay, witnessing tremendous debt.
Yes.
I think on a lot it really awakened that other side of me, and realizing that I really need to do something to help the family.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's great. And then in terms of school, your Gabs upbringing and the like.
I went to St. Mary's Primary School.
Oh, great.
Then I get like it's an SSKM.
All right.
And then I get in a lady.
Okay.
Senior secondary, and then I then went on to Limkokwing.
Oh, great.
Limkokwing. I actually got an associate degree in fashion design.
Oh, I think we can tell. We can tell.
Yeah, and then
look good.
After that, I pursued a bachelor's degree in professional design.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. No, that's an interesting backstory, and I think a lot of people can relate with respect to it, an upbringing,
yes,
where there's a bit of turmoil, a bit of debt there, so that shapes how we become as life grows, as life goes on. Now let's get into Mr. Manyaapelo, the entrepreneur. Yeah. How did this knack for business start? How did you get to the current stage that you're at?
Okay. Well, my business journey started off. I've always been into business when I come to think about it. My very, very first business was in primary school. What we do, it was just when the internet first started.
Okay.
There was this website where you download lyrics.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so what I would do is that I would ask my mother to download the popular lyrics for songs.
Okay.
Like Eminem and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
She'd download that for me and print it out, and then I would sell it to my fellow students, like 50 table per page or something like that. So that was my first real business, like my first introduction. So you find that during the hardship, financial hardships, I'd always have a small money box, saving money. Whenever my parents would be struggling, maybe they need transport money.
Yes.
I would bail them out. So I've always just been that kid who always... That's when I first learned how to save and stuff like that. Yeah, so during my business career then started again at around age 16.
Okay.
When things were really tough. There's no income.
Yeah.
So that's when my aunt Tella, I've always been talking about starting a clothing brand. Then about that, like for 500 day, or like a whole similar thing and help out collabing. You'll be able to help out collabing. I got the $500. I was able to print how many? 5 T-shirts.
Okay.
The first time I launched my clothing brand, I could have 85 clothing. The first time
I can recall that brand because it was big. Varsity Times. Oh, yes.
So it started off Kona Lady.
Yeah.
Hey, the beginning was it was very unpleasant. It was at a fashion show, end of term fashion show. Well, there were many popular brands at the time. They said gained a lot of mileage already.
Yes. Yes.
So now GROUP 85 is about to get introduced to the school. I'm backstage. No one knows this brand. I'm having a hard time getting people to model the clothes. But they agreed to wear the clothes. Then I had to come on stage, and I guess that's the part where you're introduced. Sorry, this is the founder.
Yes.
Hey, my brother. I went out there. Got on stage, my brother, and I got booed.
Are you serious?
People throwing papers. Hey.
Wow. What an experience.
Yeah, and then from there, it broke my heart and my self-esteem. I stayed. I think after that, I didn't want to sell GROUP 85. I stayed a year because buying the showcasing like 20 t-shirts.
Yes.
And I get like a 5 before I was called on stage, no one, okay, this guy had a t-shirt from one of the models. What happened?
Yeah,
hey, my brother, can I a year without selling? It really broke me. I cried that night. I really gave up on the idea of ever being in business. But then my aunt kept pushing her. If was my dad.
Oh yes, there's that pressure. Yeah.
That's when I decided to, let me just try this thing again. Started pushing GROUP there. Wow. Yeah, I started pushing the clothing brand. Eventually I was able to basically I just used those 5 t-shirts. Like, I still kept them because no one bought them. So, but luckily I kept on. I've always been good with money, like handling money.
Okay.
So those 5 t-shirts I kept flipping from 5 to 10, 15 to 20, just like that. Didn't I do it? Till eventually I tried to look for stores to stock the clothing brand. Initially they rejected me. But that's when I then decided, let me go set up a store at Main Mall.
Okay.
So I just bought a gazebo, set up a store at Tinko. So it's a strategy I still use today. I call it taking it to the streets.
Yes.
If in the boardroom or the corporate world they're shutting out, the best thing is to take it to the streets and make it hot. That's how guys like Bo Oskido became successful.
Of course.
And Jay-Z, when record labels were shutting doors in their faces, they took it to the streets.
They did their own thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I took it to the streets for some time. Then eventually I started gaining some traction. I started getting featured in newspapers.
Wow.
That's when the stores started taking notice. I was able to get a store to distribute for me. I was selling from a store called Vision OT in Riverwalk.
Okay.
They gave me, they stocked my stuff, and also another store, I forgot the name, it was in Main Mall and BBS.
Oh, great.
They stocked for me, and then also another store in Mafikeng.
Yes.
Yes, Mafikeng also showed love.
You're already international.
Yes. Yeah, so from then, with the clothing brand, I founded a multi-gender football team.
Okay.
That has men and women.
Yes.
Just basically just trying to advocate for gender equality.
That's great.
Yeah, so we did that. Through GROUP 85 clothing, I was able to found some of Botswana's most prolific fashion figures currently.
Oh, great.
For my fashion shoot, I discovered the amazing talents of Latisha Boy of X Models.
Okay.
And also King for Empire.
Oh, yes.
Actually, it actually started from just one photo shoot.
Oh,
it's a crazy thing. Yeah, and then from there on, I've always believed, I love something that Oskido says. He was asked, you put a lot of people on, aren't you afraid that at some point they'll surpass you? Then he says, no, by helping out fresh talent,
Yes.
it keeps me relevant myself. Double HP once said it when they're talking about him putting on Casper. But kind of when you have a light, a candle, if I light your candle, it doesn't take anything away from
mine.
Yeah, and you know,
I like that.
From founding, like discovering Bo Latishaga Boy and Bo King, we also collaborated.
Yes.
There were times when their brands eventually blew up, and you know, they would engage me, and then Lynn would add some more mileage on what I'm doing.
Collaboration is key.
Yeah, so I think as far as the clothing brand is concerned, I think those were some of my happiest, being able to, you know, discover hidden talents in people. Yeah, even in boxing, I remember there's a gentleman, he's a boxer right now. His boxing name is Kurupt Ramagol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's one of the champions for Batswana. So,
that's great.
And I actually introduced him to boxing.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I'm proud of. And also, there's also another clothing brand from Mochudi. It's called Pedigree Sport. Yeah, so it's just another young gentleman at the time. He just approached me, told me, you know what, I'm really inspired by your work. I want to start something. And then, you know, I shared everything. I gave him all my contacts. And I really wish that Black people in Batswana, we could put each other on, because it really doesn't take anything away from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. What I picked up from your story there is that first, the booing and how emotionally it affected you.
Yes.
But then after some time, you decided, let me get back up.
Yes.
So as entrepreneurs, we need to be resilient. The challenges will be there, but we need to get up and go back into that boxing ring and fight for what we want. Because it was after you got back into the ring, started fighting, and you took things to the streets that you were able to collaborate with others, discover others, and help others out. Because what we do tends to be beyond just us as individuals. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you'll find that you've affected someone with that business that you are getting into.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And then fast forward to today, tell us about maybe TRM Group.
Okay.
TRM Group Safety. What are the businesses under that, and what are the products and services that you offer?
Okay. Yeah, so fast forward to there's something I really want to touch on.
No problem.
There's this book I've been reading. I think it's one of the best books I've read in my life. It's by 50 Cent. It's called Hustle Smart, Hustle Harder.
Nice.
He was talking about a time when the chapter is called Seeing the Writing on the Wall. He was talking about a time when his record sales started going down. And then he realized, you know what, I need to make a continuation of my career, switch up. I'm going to get wiped out in the music industry.
Become obsolete.
Yes. So, Linda, the clothing brand, fashion is one of the most volatile industries you could be in. So, I am proud. I did have a lot of longevity from it. But there came a point when I had to see the writing on the wall. That, well, you know what, I need to transition into something else.
Yes.
I'm going to get wiped out because this is an industry I did trend. So, it came a time when I was still putting out great stuff, but then it wasn't selling like it used to. That's when I then transitioned into graphic design.
Okay.
So I became a full-time graphic designer. I worked on some of the biggest brands in Botswana. But one of the closest ones to my heart would be a furniture store called About Beds, because it started off just one store, but eventually it was able to really dominate the furniture industry. Getting into South Africa and different markets. So by then I was doing fashion design. That's when I rented out an office in Commerce Park. So at the time, one of the things that led to the gradual decline of the clothing brand was that I told you about how things were tough with my family. My family was struggling financially. So one thing I did is that I would always try help out with money. But then it got to a point whereby the financial load eventually crumbled the clothing business.
Yes.
I got depressed for some time because I had lost almost everything. But then I got a lesson from that. It's best to teach people how to fish and not give fish. Yeah. So that's when I was renting out the office at Commerce Park, I then decided, you know what, I want to empower my family.
Yes.
Because Rick Ross once said something about, you know, it makes no sense to be rich while everybody's broke around you. Because eventually they're going to crumble you down. So that's when I just got onto a pursuit of empowering my family.
Oh, that's great.
So that's when my mother had always been into real estate. She studied real estate. But then at the time, the company that she was working for was going under. So that's when I said, you know what, come work with me at the office. I'll help you start this business. We'll be partners in it. I'll do the brand and everything. That's how Newark Properties was born.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we started Newark Properties, and I'm really proud. Newark Properties is one of the fastest growing real estate companies in the country.
It certainly is.
And it's actually influenced a lot of how people market property currently, because we made it popular to advertise properties with a template. And yes, I do take my bragging rights for it. I've since then we have seen a lot of real estate companies also adopt that.
Yes.
So I pride myself in being the originator of that.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, so while Newark Properties started to gain traction, my sister was struggling within her career of occupational health and safety. That's when I did the same thing with my mother. I said, you know what, come let's start a brand within occupational health and safety.
Wow.
This will be the first brand ever, and it's going to be the most popular one in Botswana. That's how TRM Group Safety was born. TRM Group stands for the Real Manyaapelo Group.
The Real Manyaapelo.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's when we started TRM Group Safety. TRM Group Safety is one of the most easily identifiable and recognized brands within the occupational health and safety space in Botswana. We currently offer Nebosh online courses.
Okay.
Yes, and we also do trainings and audits like your ISO certifications.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do trainings like your first aid, firefighting, SHE-RAP, and the like. So TRM Group, what it does is that, it gives young Batswana within the OHS space like a really good opportunity to get job opportunities, because the qualifications are so superior.
Yes.
So you find that whenever people have that qualification, they become so highly sought after. Because mines and those and construction companies always prefer a Nebosh qualification.
Oh,
so
okay.
So TRM Group prides itself in being the #1 providers of Nebosh online courses.
Wow.
So Nebosh, look at Nebosh. TRM Group currently is the local partner for Electra Mining Botswana.
Oh, okay.
Electra Mining Botswana is Botswana's leading mining expo.
Okay.
There's also an expo in South Africa. It's called Electra Mining Africa. Now that's the biggest one in the whole continent.
Oh,
so we are handling the Botswana one. So Electra Mining is usually held at fairgrounds. The last one was in 2019. We're set to have another Electra Mining Botswana this year, September the 22nd.
Oh,
but due to COVID-19, it's still hanging in the balance right now. So Electra Mining, the one that we organized for 2019, they're supported by various ministries. Your Ministry of Health,
yes,
Ministry of Finance, a lot of ministries. We partnered up also with the Botswana Chamber of Mines. Yes, we held some free to attend seminars. Those seminars we invited executives from mines.
Okay.
Like various mines in Botswana where they gave, talks on the current developments within mines, and also, just discussing various opportunities that are there in terms of employment and also business for Black Batswana.
Yes.
So, we had a lot of hopefuls there at the seminar, soaking up all this information, finding out ways in which they can get involved in the mining industry. It was also, it was a partnership between ourselves, Botswana Chamber of Mines and Vivo Energy. Yes. Electromining is sponsored by BBF Safety Group and Maltotech. Yes. We're proud to that it actually won an award.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. In South Africa, it was the exhibition awards.
Yes.
That covers the whole of Africa, like exhibitions throughout Africa. So Electromining was able to win a distinction in marketing.
Wonderful.
And also the best overall in terms of logistics, the best overall Africa-bound exhibition for 2019. So so electromining is something that we're really proud about at TRM Group. It also contributes within the region of 8 million pula to the general economy of the country.
That is a substantial amount.
Yes. Yeah, so those figures, that amount of money comes through, hotels, because we have a lot of people coming from outside the country.
Certainly.
We have a lot of machinery coming in, branding companies, logistics companies. So it's really heartbreaking to think about the opportunities lost if we're not able to do it this year. But nonetheless, we're keeping our fingers crossed. If we can't do it this year, we'll do it in 2022.
Electromining. I'm definitely rooting for you to have it, because I heard you mention something about how young Batswana can get into mining. So I'm sure a lot of people at home are interested in seeing just how they can get their foot through that door. And so we'll all be praying for you that it all takes place. And you said something very interesting there, how you turned a problem into a solution. And it started at home. A lot of the things we do as entrepreneurs usually need to have, a deeper meaning behind them. Firstly, you said your mom was facing trouble with her work, and you said, come through, let's push together. Secondly, your sister, she had the same thing, so you kept it within the family and said, no, come here, let's do this together. And now look what it's become. So usually the problems that we face, whether at home or within our lives, let's see how we can convert these into something that can be fruitful and beneficial for everyone around us. Oh, that's great. So it's very interesting what you're doing. And I see you're dabbling in a lot of things. How do you handle it?
You remind me of a question that was once asked to TD Jakes. They asked him, you do talk shows, you preach, you're an author. How do you do all of that? And then he answered that the thing about me is that all my activities, they're centered around one key talent, which is communication.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So to you it seems like I'm doing 7 things, but to me it's just one.
Oh, great.
So I go and I communicate over there, I communicate on my book, I communicate while preaching.
Wow. So
the same thing is with me. With all these companies, I'm just doing the same thing for in different industries. So it does, because the last thing you want is to divide your strength.
Oh.
Yes. So what I do is that
can get diluted.
My common skill is really brand development and business strategy. So I do that at Newark Properties, and then I do that with TRM Group. So I'm doing the same thing in different spaces.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and the other thing is that I don't work alone.
Oh, yes.
You find that with things like Newark Properties, you find that my mother's the one that actually spearheads the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm just usually in the behind the scenes, just making sure that things are as they are supposed to be. So yeah, that's really it. I'm not a fan of being a jack of all trades. It's not a good idea, because you're just splitting your strength. So the best way to go about it is just find one common skill,
yes,
and then you apply it in different areas. Yeah.
That's great. So let's see what it is that we may be good at and see how we can harness that particular talent or skill to see how it can become profitable for us. Now, there's this issue. You seem to have been doing all of this without business funding. A lot of people locally will say, I'm really trying to do this, but I need funding. I'm trying to get this done, but I need funding. And the only time that you've mentioned funding right now is that 500 pula years ago.
That's it.
And all of this other stuff, to the point where your endeavors are contributing about 8 million to the economy. At which point have you sought funding?
Never.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, well, first things first, I really wish we could really break this mentality of needing funding.
Now we're talking.
I have tried to apply for youth funds, but unfortunately my proposal got rejected. It really broke my heart. And, the sad thing is that sometimes you won't get funding, but you'd see other people getting funded, and it's not necessarily people that actually know what they're doing in business. But I
know the feeling.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was a blessing, because I think if I could choose, I'd choose it doing it this way, because of my childhood upbringing, it's made me really afraid of debt. So yeah, I can't owe anyone anything. So that's why I like to put up my own money and fund my own things. So what I would say is that if you're looking for funding, stop waiting for funding. You'll wait forever. The whole funding thing, because funding is like taking the elevator, but when you should actually take the stairs, because there are lessons on the stairs. And it's not having funding has made me more resourceful than the average entrepreneur. It's taught me how to leverage.
Wonderful.
Yes, so you find that, like even with at my office block, there are so many people who've come there, haven't gotten funded, and after a year or two, the company's down, and you find that me, the person who never got funding, I'm still around. And people would end up saying, well, they look at me like I'm the one who got funding when I'm the one who didn't, because it's really taught me how to be resilient and know how to keep things going. You find that I'm in a space whereby even if a business doesn't have income for 3 months, I know how to run a business with no money.
Wow.
And I know how to run a business with money.
Sustainable operations.
Yeah, so the problem with most people is that they don't know how to do business without money. So you find that they're not going to be resourceful in how they leverage things. So some of the things that you leverage are things like relationships. Like, for example, Newark Properties, when we started it, there was no money. There wasn't even no money just to even register the company.
Wow.
But because of good relationships and leveraging relationships, I'm in a position whereby I always like to be an honorable person.
Yes, and that's important in business.
Everyone that deals with me knows that this guy's gonna pay you. Like, in fact, I'll be the one following you to constantly remind you, hey, I'm gonna pay you, keeping you up to date. So you find that when you do such a thing, it creates, your name becomes golden. So that there are people who are always willing to do favors for me just on my name alone.
Wow, now that's good. You've built a good reputation for yourself. When they say your reputation precedes you, it should definitely be a good one.
Yeah, so that's how I was able to register Newark. I registered Newark Properties with no money, but I just told the company secretary, hey, I need you to do me a solid, register this company, I'll pay you later. And they never have an issue.
Wow.
So that's how, so when you don't have funding, it teaches you these things of how to be leverage. You need to leverage your relationships. So you find that if ever I was to go 5 months with no income, I can still be able to run things properly, just off the number of good relationships that I have with people in my network.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that this funding aspect, this not having funding, has built a bit of skills where your business and self are concerned. Now, let's get more to the self part. What would you say are the characteristics or traits needed for Nakili Big Budget personally? What should I have to be able to survive this without funding stage? Because trust me, it gets tough, but what are those characteristics that I need to have?
Wow, there's so many angles that I would love to dissect that one. But, what I would say is that, you should never be afraid to start small.
Yes.
Whatever that you have to fight with that.
Wow.
If you have 5 bullets to your name, find a way to fight with your 5 bullets and make the most out of it.
Wow.
Because, and really I would say, wow, okay. All right. So I would say that you need to believe in yourself.
Oh, certainly.
Because you find that at the time when I was doing the clothing brand or when I started Newark Properties, we were so broke. And I remember my mother would always be saying, hey, look at all, the market is saturated. Look at all these big companies within real estate. And hey, I would get so angry, say, I don't care, don't even mention any of them.
Yes.
I don't care.
I know.
In fact, those people should be worried that I'm getting into this market because I'm going to eat them alive.
That is the
with
attitude
whatever I
to
get.
have.
So
yes.
My belief is in myself and not money.
Yes.
As long as I have me, that's all I need.
That is very inspiring.
Yeah. So, that's when we started getting into it, started being consistent. Being dedicated and committed, you never stop.
Wow.
Yeah, so, you find that whichever client that we get, we really give them our best to the point whereby they're willing to support us, not because push your BW or support the local.
Wow.
They're just supporting us because we're just that good.
That's what it should be about, no one's giving anyone any favors.
Yes.
It's all about the work that you put in.
Yeah, so I pride myself that we don't get supported because we're local companies or Batswana, we're supported because
exactly, and you can say it proudly.
Yes.
We are just that good. Wonderful.
So that's how we really get a market share, and really marketing it to the best of our ability, finding a different and better way to do things.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Wow. I really got some stuff there. Belief in ourselves is important. Leveraging on relationships, ensuring that your reputation is solid and stellar.
And you can only do that by being an honorable person.
Exactly.
Yeah, to tell the truth, just to be honest, honestly, Batswana, a lot of us are not honorable people. And I'm sorry to say this, but usually I find myself sometimes preferring not to do business with our own people because people are not honorable, honestly.
You get into an engagement with them and they renege on their promises.
Yes.
They don't do their part.
Yes, but then it also creates opportunities for some of us who are honorable people.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but that's where we find ourselves, and it breaks my heart, So these people who have funding, let's say you get funding, and because the way we do business, we burn a lot of bridges.
Oh, yes.
That's one thing I do. I'd never burn bridges, no matter.
Never burn bridges.
Because the road is still long. You're still going to need people. So you find that everybody that I've worked with, we parted ways on a good note.
Amicably.
So, if ever I have a situation and I can come back, I can always come back to say, hey, maybe let's say it's a computer supplier.
Yeah.
Let's say I got robbed at the office. I can always say, okay, I need maybe 5 computers, and because of our past working relationship, they can always say, this guy is good for it. He'll pay up.
Wonderful.
And then now, because if you're Mowana and you're burning bridges, you don't have the liberty to do that. If there's no cash flow in your business, you can't go to anyone and worry, please help me out, because why you burned bridges? But how I you didn't pay it back.
Yes.
Yeah. So people most times, whenever I do this, whenever I'm paying people back on time and doing what I said I would do, they always look at me and think, wow, they think I'm doing it for them, but then honestly it's for me.
Perfect.
It's for myself, because It's just for my own principle. You know, I do it for me. You're just a beneficiary of that principle.
Wow. No, I love that standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about yourself as an individual outside of, the business. Is there anything community development or societal that you're engaged in? And then just after that, how can we reach you for your services?
Okay. Currently, I serve as the president of Gaborone Breakfast Toastmasters.
Oh, great.
So Toastmasters is basically a non-profit organization that helps cultivate people's communication, public speaking, and leadership skills.
Great.
Yeah, so
Great.
we have our meetings every first Saturday and third Saturday of a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we are currently doing. I'm also the current international speech champion for the club and area.
Congratulations.
Yes, thanks. And then I am also currently the vice chairman for Roundtable Botswana.
Oh, okay.
Roundtable Botswana is basically a non-profit organization. It's just a group of young gentlemen within the young professional men who just come together and do charitable deeds within the community.
Wonderful.
Some of the organizations that we support are your Childline Botswana. We make monthly donations to that. We're currently also supporting an initiative by Ladies Circle Botswana. That's the female version of Roundtable Botswana.
Oh, okay.
Young
Ladies Circle.
Yeah,
okay.
The professional ladies that are also doing charitable works. They're currently building a rehabilitation center in Block 8 that's dedicated to housing young children with cancer.
Oh.
So currently we're supporting them and raising funds for that. So those are the activities that I get up to outside of business.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, and then where I can be reached is basically on social media, Facebook.
Okay.
It's Fhoster. I have a page called Fhoster R Manyaapelo.
Okay.
Then I have a personal profile, Fhoster R Manyaapelo.
Fhoster R Manyaapelo.
Yes,
okay.
and then you can also follow the various pages of the organizations that I deal with. You can follow Newark Properties and TRM Group Safety on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Yeah, and also the organizations that I deal with outside of business, they can also be found on those platforms.
Oh, wonderful. Mr. Fhoster Manyaapelo, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite, my brother.
Right, so today's 2-minute tip. I was recently honored with an invitation to address a congregation on the issue of financial wellness. We all know that spiritual wellness is important, health is important, but financial wellness is also crucial for us to have a wholesome living experience. And as the conversation went on, we discovered that the foundation or basic premise for our financial wellness is basically our money mentality. What are the attitudes and beliefs that you hold with respect to money? This can shape your financial standpoint. So what we did, we sat down and we wrote down things that shaped or programmed us when we were younger with respect to how we see money. Things like money is hard to come by. Money doesn't fall from the sky. Money doesn't grow on trees. Some of these things can shape the way we think about money. So you might want to do this for yourself and see what it is that may be shaping your current perspective of money. Now remember that your most prevalent thoughts and beliefs where money is concerned can shape your financial standing. Once again, your most prevalent thoughts and beliefs where money is concerned can shape your financial standing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful show. Thank you very much for your time. From me, Big Budget, and the team, it's good night and God bless. And never forget that you were born for so much more.